Hey, it's Del Jackson. We got a special LL Hoops here. Coach Elijah Cooper, Coach Cooper, new man on the block at Columbia. Uh, got a lot of ties. We were looking at his bio and Northeastern High School, Lock Haven, Division II, AAU Raiders basketball, JV coach at Columbia. So let me start like this, Coach. I got your background. I got that taken care of. So we don't have to talk about that. Let's go into I'm always curious how it is from sitting to standing. So, how is that transition going for you?
Um, so I mean, so far it's gone well, I would say. I would say one of the things that I was kind of like focused on with becoming the head coach is being as good at analyzing the game as I am when I'm sitting as an assistant, as I am standing as a head coach. And that's a balance that I've worked on finding, with JV, coaching JV the last 7 years. Is a lot of times like when you're standing, you're like up, emotional, you're into the game, you're trying to be the one talking on defense and directing traffic and all that. And whereas I want to be able to sit back a little bit sometimes, and just kind of analyze and make adjustments throughout the game, which I do a better job of that when I'm sitting. So I would like to sit more this year. We'll see if that is even a possibility. I can't make any promises because
Uh,
yeah,
we'll go to the Duke bench. You know what I mean? If they
yeah,
get mad and
yeah,
they sit down, you know that something's
yeah,
boiling inside when they're all sitting and looking and they're all kind of like glaring at people. I'm like,
yeah.
oh.
I think I might just assign an assistant to tell me like, hey, like just sit down for like 2 minutes.
Oh man. Talk to me about your players. What's going on? I know we covered you a little bit last year. Andy had you a lot, the varsity, and sometimes the JV struggled. So you got to blend. You got one or two guys coming back, and you're blending some kids. Just talk about what you got right now.
Yeah, so I mean, so far with what we've been working with in summer league, we will be coming into this season with pretty much an entire roster of guys who didn't play any significant varsity minutes, which is a challenge in itself because there's just such a big difference between JV and varsity, and let alone the freshmen that'll be coming up and be playing at the varsity level from junior high to varsity. That's such a big leap. It's a really tough ask. So a lot of patience will come with that, but we're putting the time in now to prepare them as much as we possibly can, for when their time comes. It's going to be, there will be an adjustment period, and hopefully it doesn't last too long. But I think as long as we are doing the right things every day, we will eventually get to where we want to be.
Columbia is pretty unique in that you guys share athletes, a lot of athletes, and it seems like the coaches kind of get along and understand the need to get in the gym for basketball, to get out on the football field for skills and things like that. Um, Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just talked to our football coach this week. We came up with like a plan to, um, kind of, because we just started in the weight room our weight training program this week, and obviously they've been lifting for the last couple of weeks.
Mhm.
So one of the things that was like important to both of us was making sure our the guys who play both
Yeah.
are not like overlifting or putting themselves in harm or anything like that. So but I do also want to make sure they're getting like credit for attending those things because, regardless, that is good. Them lifting and playing other sports is good for them. So I encourage my guys, especially because football season is what is next for our guys. Like that is the main focus for guys who play that sport. The standard of attendance and things like that is much harsher on the guys who don't play football or any other sports. So it's about finding that balance and understanding that it's not really our time, but like when you can make it. And we've kind of developed a schedule to where like when football players are not there, they can be at our stuff and vice versa. So it's worked out well.
Good. Hey, let me ask you a little bit about your background. I'm reading from some of my notes here. So your background's a little bit different than most of the coaches in the LL, just because you are a really good player.
Mhm.
And talk to me about what you've drawn on your time at Northeastern, at Lock Haven, at the AAU level. I mean, what type of things do you bring different, or what things have you I don't know what makes you tick and pull from different sources. I know I used to pull from a lot of different sources, and sometimes it gets a mishmash. But talk to me about that.
I pull from my playing career literally all the time. It's I think it's what makes me um, it's the best part of me as a coach, in my opinion, because I can relate to whatever any basketball player is going through. I played high school basketball, I played AAU basketball, I played, I've done it everywhere. I played with high level Division I prospects like Devin Thomas, Mike Zingari, Hashim McIntyre. Like in the summer, we were all over the place playing against guys who went to play in the NBA. Um, and I've played against a lot of our local talent that we had in York, like Kelvin Parker, Trey Bowman, and Andrew Nicholson and Austin Tillotson, like those kind of that era of York where Division I players were getting pumped out regularly, and that was my goal. Was to play Division I basketball. I didn't get there, but and I still got a chance to play Division II basketball, which is rare for a lot of
Mhm.
basketball players in the country. At the time when I went, only 6% of guys went to play any level of college basketball, let alone Division II. So I didn't really understand it at the time, and now I understand it a little bit more. I understand, and when I got to college, when I got to Lock Haven, I learned why I didn't get to where I wanted to get to, and I think because of that, I can draw from that experience and say, hey, like if that's where you want to go, this is what you have to do, because those are the things that I didn't do, and that was the and those are the different things. Like my entire recruiting process, up until June, that last junior year live period was all Division I schools. I didn't even talk to any Division IIs. And when you come out of that live period with no offers, you're
Mhm.
pretty at that time
Yeah.
you're done. So it was very rare that you would get an offer late in your senior year. So and that's when we pivoted to Division.
You're breaking up on me, Coach.
I was
Are we still there?
very upset. But
Okay.
now that I look back on it and I'm older now and I understand. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. You froze up a little bit, so I think we're back.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but
Okay, yeah.
there we go.
Um, okay.
Let,
Um, so yeah, so I can. Is it freezing again?
we're getting there. It's a little spotty. I can hear you, so as long as we can get something out, we're pretty good. So I take it that you can lace them up and play with the kids and show them what it's all about yet, huh?
In short spurts, yeah, absolutely. uh, if we're doing anything half court, they don't have a chance. It's 2 or 3 trips up and down full court, and it gets a little tough.
Oh,
I haven't even played with the kids in probably like 4 to 5 months because the last time I played, I dislocated my toe.
that's
So um, yeah, the wife
yeah.
is not fond of me
Not
playing.
fond of you playing so much.
So like at least until I can get back into playing shape.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh man. Hey, talk to me about your staff. I mean, obviously, Columbia doesn't have a lot of paid positions, I believe. I could be wrong there. And then the last time you had like a seventh and eighth grade, you don't have a seventh grade team, do you? Or do you have that now?
We do. Yep, we have a seventh and eighth grade and a freshman team. We're working on getting the seventh and eighth grade job as a paid position.
Okay.
Typically been volunteer
Mhm.
in the past, and we do have someone who is prepared to do both either way. So actually, Matt McCleary will be in that role this
Oh
year.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
from
Yeah.
former of mine.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm very excited to have him back.
Yeah.
Um, the person who was in that role last year, Carmelo Rosario, will be the freshman coach. Our former freshman coach, Bryson Nicholson, is going to move up to the varsity staff as an assistant. Artie Poindexter's father, who was on staff 2 years ago but left last year,
Yeah.
is coming back.
Nice.
And then a longtime teammate, family friend, literally like almost blood brother of mine, Jalen Williams, is coming over from York High. He was the 7th and 8th grade coach there last year.
Very cool.
He'll be our head JV coach.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of crimson blood in the staff, that's for sure. And
Sure.
I know your community. I always like playing at Columbia. I know sometimes it's rough, but I always thought the fans were very knowledgeable about basketball. They know when kids are putting forth effort. They even I've seen it at times where they applaud the other team because they know that they're doing some good things. So I think that's neat. I think that's special. It's a little bit different than we go into some gyms and some of the fans aren't quite knowledgeable about basketball. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Columbia, on the whole, the people, the old guys that sit up behind you, they seem to know what's going on. And the ones sitting right on the first row, right across from you, watching you all the time, they seem to know what's going on too. So it's good stuff. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Section 4. My beat writer Andy is really high on Section 4 with Mennonite and Country Day and Anvil, and even Pequay made some big strides last year. And you got Northern Lebanon coming down, and they have a boatload of experience coming back. So, I know you've seen these teams because you've been on the bench, but it's pretty rough, don't you think? I mean, the section's going to be good.
Yeah. It'll probably be the toughest that it's been. It'll be the most up for grabs that it's been in the last, we've won it 5 years in a row. So
Maybe 10.
yeah.
Columbia Mennonite, Columbia Mennonite, Columbia's
Yeah, and
a run right now. Yeah.
yeah, it's been, we've either won it or shared it for the last 5 years,
I
and
saw that.
the only team that's really given us a fight in that time has been Mennonite. So, but I do expect that to change. I watched a lot of the, JV and junior high games last year. Were difficult games against Anvil and Pequay Valley, and now you're adding Lancaster Country Day has some young talent coming back, and then Northern Lebanon is now coming down into the section. So it's gonna, every night in the section is gonna be a dogfight. So I actually am embracing it. I look forward to it because I think you want to play tough competition as much as possible, because I think one of the things that would hurt us a lot is that we get into section play and get a bit complacent
Yeah.
until we would play like a Mennonite
Right.
and have to kind of ramp it back up again. So, every night being a dogfight, especially for a young group, will be very important as far as like teaching them what it takes to be successful at this level, because a lot of times young kids will take it for granted because they've seen all the success we've had in that section for the last 5 years, but they have no idea what really went into that, and they'll learn.
Let's end on this. We were up at we were sitting courtside at the Trinity game last year. And what was the mindset going into that game? I mean, from what we were reading and feeling, that you guys were major underdogs. So how was the preparation? What was the talk to the kids to get them motivated to say, you know what, we can play with these guys and we're good enough?
Yeah, and honestly, I think that was the major difference between last season's team and the team before that got upset in the semi, or yeah, I think it was semifinals that we lost in.
Yeah.
Was we had a different level of mental toughness, and it really started with the comeback at Mennonite. I think that really taught us that, no matter what really happens throughout a game, we have the personnel here to go out and beat anybody. So it was all about like maintaining and handling the runs, and being even keel emotionally and mentally, like understanding Trinity's a good team. They're going to make runs. There are going to be difficult moments throughout this game. You just have to stay the course because you're going to cause them difficult moments as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And that's really what we did. And honestly, In my 7 years of being here, to me, I'm not sure there was a better win that we've had. You know, simply because, like you said, we were massive underdogs on a big stage, where you know, a lot of kids will you know, kind of choke up under that pressure, and understandably, it's a much bigger court than what we're used to playing on. It's a much bigger atmosphere. There's way more at stake. But they handled the pressure so well, and I can't be more proud of what they accomplished.
Yeah, it was interesting because I felt sitting courtside. We were sitting courtside. We wrote the game up as well, and I just felt that you guys had something. You had some toughness that the Trinity guy. I don't know if they've seen that. I know they played in a good section, but it seemed like you guys were just a little bit more aggressive to the ball. Like you said, you dealt with their runs when they made a little run there. It's like, okay, now the next guy's going to pop a three, and then we're gonna do our 3-2 zone and rebound. Just keep the ball. So I'm with you. I thought that was one of the best wins for Columbia in recent times. And we were at the Mennonite game too. We were live streaming that, so that was fun. That was a good game. We usually get that game, Coach. We usually get the Mennonite Columbia at Mennonite because it's a nice place for us to get up in the stands and do that. So I'm assuming it will probably be there again this year if they allow us. So it's all good. Hey, congratulations on the new gig. We'll be following you as always. Good luck, my man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.